Hey y'all, welcome back to the Laid Back Homestead. I'm Crystal, and today we are starting more seeds late. Now, where I live, I started majority of my seeds in December and January, but due to poor germination rates, especially with my peppers, and dealing with broad mites that wiped out a lot of my tomatoes, I'm kind of in a last ditch effort to get more seeds going. I have a few strategies that I'm going to share with you on how to start seeds this late in the season to hopefully maximize your harvest potential. All right, let's get started. I don't know if you can tell, but it is super windy here. And anytime I go to do a seed starting video, it's just one of the windiest days of the year. First strategy for maximizing your harvest would be ultimately to grow what is going to thrive. Maybe not so much right now, but within the next few weeks. Our climate is about to change. Right now, it's a beautiful 75-degree day. However, that is not going to be the case in the next 8 weeks. It will be quite hot and humid and miserable here, and we will be well into summer. So knowing that, I have to be strategic about what I'm going to plant so that I hopefully can harvest food. First up, I'm going to start more squashes and melons. And the reason for this is they can handle the heat and humidity. The biggest concern I have is squash vine borers. They will actually be here in a couple of weeks. So I am going to start some more zucchini today. So I am going to go in with my old Black Beauty seeds. These have been around the block quite a few times. I do like to soak my seeds to hopefully combat the squash vine borers. I am also growing squash in the Moscata family. I grew the Gugutza last year. The Gugutza just laughed in the face of the vine borers. And then I came across this one, the Tahitian melon. Now I did start some of these out in my main beds. It's a butternut type. So first time trying it, but I am excited about this one too. Next up, I'm gonna start some of these Table King bush acorns. I bought this specifically because it's a bush variety, and I have one or two planted out in my greenhouse. I'm not sure if these will stand up to the squash vine borers, but we're gonna give it a try. They're good for compact spaces and for small gardens or container growing. I get asked a lot of questions about containers. And last up for today in the squash family, it's actually a pumpkin, but it is the Casper white-skinned pumpkin. It does say it's ornamental and weighs between 10 and 16 pounds. Well, moving on. Not all herbs can handle our heat, but thankfully my favorite one can, and that's basil. And as far as I'm concerned, you can never have too much basil in your yard. I started some of this already. The purple basil, yes, my package is upside down because I opened it that way. But for basil, I want a good bit of this. So I'm gonna pour out a lot of these tiny little seeds, and I'm gonna just sprinkle them on the top here. And then just your regular old sweet basil. I have tons of Thai basil and lime basil volunteers all over my yard. So I'm not actually starting any more of that right now. Two other herbs I'm gonna try to grow from seed. I have here cumin, black cumin specifically. I've never grown this, so if you have any tips or tricks, let me know. Seed pods can be harvested at 90 days once the pods start to turn brown and rattle when they shake. All right, and then last up for the herbs that can handle our heat and abuse and neglect is rosemary. And this is one I normally just propagate it with clippings. I have a few around my yard. Moving on to a fruit, ground cherries. I started both of these, actually. I tried to start both of these from seed before. The germination rate on the older seeds was no good, but I think I have a few left in here. I'm just gonna give it one more shot. I did get a couple of these to come up, but I'm not sure if it's the mites that got them or what. And what's crazy is as hard as they've been to start from seed, normally once you grow them, they reseed and self-seed so easily you almost never have to restart them from seed. They'll just pop up everywhere. But it's been a few years since I grew them, and they ran their course in my yard. A couple of flowers that I'm going to start today that I know can handle the heat are sunflowers. This is vanilla ice. These seeds are pretty small for sunflower seeds, so I'm going to go a little heavy here. I tend to find that my sunflower seeds have lower germination, and this soil is pre-moistened. Now, I didn't bother to pre-soak these. You may be wondering why. Well, simply because it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter when these come up. I know that they can handle the heat. So whether they come up now or if they come up in a week, it's not a necessity. However, if you are in a time crunch and you are looking to speed up your germination rates, by all means, take the time to pre-soak your seeds. Now, this is an interesting one. The Mexican sunflower, known as Tithonia. I grew these last year out at my homestead property between wax myrtles. This makes an awesome chop and drop fertilizer. It is said to have the same NPK ratio once it breaks down into your soil as chicken manure, except obviously there's no chance of it burning your plants. It's also known as vegan fertilizer. I've heard it called several different things, but this is one of those things where I always want to have them going. Now, on the back here, it says ideal temps 60 to 75. This grew last year in the heat, so I'm going to start them now just because I've got real life experience with them. So another little tip or trick. If you know you're trying to grow something and you're coming up towards the end of that season, try to stick with a variety that may still perform for you. Let me show you what I mean. I took a hit on my peppers and my tomatoes. Now I know right now if I try to start a bunch of seeds for big slicing tomatoes, I'm not going to get a harvest before the heat sets in for the summer. Those are already planted out, the ones that survived, and they're doing great. I'm going to get plenty of those. But I still would like to get some tomatoes later in the season. And the best way to do that is to pick varieties that are either hybrids or go for a cherry or grape variety. So I am going to try for the first time this year Mexico Midget, and it's a prolific heirloom. And my absolute favorite tomato is the Brad's Atomic. So these are obviously seeds I saved myself from 2023. We'll see what they do. But I love Brad's Atomic tomatoes, and they do produce longer than your big slicing tomatoes will. Last fall, I grew them in my hydroponic system, and they did amazing. They produced right up until that first frost. They produced right up until that first frost took them out. Now, another tip. If you've seen my other seed starting videos, you know I love starting in these 72 count trays. And I did that today as well. But I did that with things that can handle the heat and that will continue to produce all summer long. So I'm not in a rush with these things. These things, I really want them to come up as quickly as possible. And by starting them in bigger cups, I do not have to take the extra step of up potting them in a few weeks. They'll be able to grow, get to full size, be fertilized in here, and then be placed out into my yard. So similar to tomatoes, peppers kind of fall in the same vein, at least your sweet peppers. I know that right now, if I try to start a big blocky bell pepper variety, I'm not gonna get much out of that going into the heat of the summer. If I want sweet peppers, I gotta think strategic, and you need to pick a variety that's gonna grow smaller peppers or thinner peppers, but will be more prolific. And so first up, I'm going to be planting out the Alma paprika. I have not grown paprika here before, which if you ask me is silly, considering I absolutely love smoked paprika. Paprika is one of those things, at least smoked paprika where I live, it costs way too much money to go to the store and buy. Normally, I start all my peppers in December as mentioned earlier, in Ziploc bags. And that is my preferred way to do it. But because I'm in a time crunch and I don't want to wait the extra steps, I'm just going to keep them well watered. We're plenty hot outside. I don't have to worry about heat mats or anything like that. These will be in my greenhouse and they will do just fine. The other sweet pepper I'm starting is corbaci. I love a good frying or grilling pepper. Plus, I need something to offset the heat for my hot sauces and my pepper mashes that I make. And since bell peppers, I really like to use those a lot for fresh eating or stuffing. This is a better way to get some sweet. The last thing I'm gonna start today is something that will absolutely produce through our heat. I have several of them already going in various places, but you can never have too much of this, especially since it does love our heat, and that is eggplant. I have both the Black Beauty, which is traditional Italian classic here. I grew up eating fried Black Beauty eggplant. In fact, I'm pretty sure I have some in my freezer because I like to make them ahead and freeze them. It's an old family tradition. And the last eggplant I'm going to start is the Antigua. I had started some of these and they came up and they died. And I'm not really sure why, so I'm starting them again. Now, if y'all remember, I showed y'all a seed starting kit that I had gotten for Christmas from one of my friends, and I wasn't really impressed with it. But that got me thinking about seed starting, and I felt like there's got to be a kit out there that will make it easier for beginners. And since one of my sons is kind of wanting to get into this, I feel like I'm on the hunt for that. So hopefully I'll have one of those to show soon that will actually be good. So as you can see, there's no shortage of seeds here, and there's really always something that we can try to be growing. As you can tell, I have things in various forms of growth. Some things will be ready to plant it out soon. Some things will just be coming up, and I can't wait to see what this year's harvest looks like. If you like this video, go ahead and give it a thumbs up. And if you want to see just how much food I can harvest this year, I encourage you to subscribe. And until next time, stay blessed.